So we have the results through for the general election. As you'll be aware, we've got the first Labour government since 2010. So in today's video, we're going to run through what that means for the property market and for mortgages. So in terms of mortgage rates, well, people do get a little bit confused on this. It's not the government that sets the base rate. That's the Independent Bank of England. They set the base rate depending on what's happening with the economy and keeping a keen eye on keeping inflation under control. So there's no government policy to increase or cut interest rates. So there's no kind of direct correlation. However, as we know, part of all this is about consumer confidence. So we're hoping that the city reacts well to the election being over. They take well to a new incumbent chancellor in Rachel Reeves. And the good news is that over the last week or so, we have started to see lenders reduce their fixed rate. So we do think we're past the peak of interest rates now, and the next rate movements should be downwards. So we're expecting no immediate adverse effects as a result of the election. So one of the flagship policies in the Labour manifesto, in terms of getting the economy back up and running, is to build 1.5 million homes over the course of the next Parliament, over the next 5 years. Now, we know this has been a massive problem for successive governments, and this 300,000 new homes target has been missed year after year after year after year. In fact, a couple of years ago, the government scrapped it and said it's not even a target anymore. It's a guideline. So the last time we built that number of houses in a single year, believe it or not, was 1977. So this is going to be a major challenge for Labour to keep this particular promise, especially when the amount of bricklayers is down at 43,000 in the UK now. So this is going to be a major challenge, but it is a flagship policy that they'll want to deliver upon. Now, how does this affect property values? Well, it's just a supply and demand issue, this, isn't it? Because we've failed to build these houses over a course of decades, we've seen property values massively outstrip wage inflation, okay? And that's why quite often now we see two applicants having to buy together rather than one applicant, because the salaries against the values of properties just don't match up anymore. I suppose if we did actually meet this promise and we were able to get the planning through, get these homes built, that could have an impact on property values, because there'd be more supply for the first time when demand has always outweighed supply for all these years. So right to buy, a real political hot potato. So very much a flagship Thatcher policy from the late 70s, early 80s. And it's been controversial because, yes, thousands upon thousands of customers over the years, council tenants have been able to buy their homes from the councils at massive discounts, helping them onto the property ladder. But of course, the councils have failed to replenish that stock, leading to this national shortage of properties and people struggling to get affordable housing and council houses. It's going to be even more interesting because one of the people that benefited from the Right to Buy scheme was the new Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner. So see how closely she is to the action if Labour decide to make some changes to the Right to Buy. This definitely would not be a surprise. Last time Labour were in power, they didn't ban Right to Buy, but they severely restricted the discount. Very much a flagship Tory policy. Labour not so keen. So don't be surprised if you see some negative impacts on Right to Buys during the course of this government. So finally, we move on to stamp duty. And guys, there is a change coming here. So if you remember, in a bid to stimulate the economy and the property market, the previous government increased the stamp duty nil rate allowance from 300,000 to 425 for first-time buyers and from 125 to 250 for everybody else. This was due to finish on the 31st of March 2025, but in the Tory manifesto, they had said they were going to look to extend that date outwards. However, Labour are not going to be doing this. Okay, so we are going to be reverting back to those previous levels in 2025. So you're going to be paying more stamp duty to buy a property. So as first-time buyers, that 425 allowance is dropping back to 300, and for everyone else, the 250 going back to 125. Okay, so if you want to benefit from that stamp duty allowance at its current levels, you need to get those purchases through before the 31st of March.